Hello and welcome. Here's what's happening right now. A catastrophic water main break in Calgary.
It is extremely frustrating to see this happen to our city again.
The rescues and what people are being told to do to save water.
Startling omission, and it's a big-time mistake from Hockey Canada not to have him on the roster.
Who's in and who's out, revealing the stars who made Canada's Olympic men's hockey team. Plus, let the celebrations begin. How the world is ringing in the new year.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
I'm John Benavali Rao. Good evening. The start to the new year looks like it will be a challenging one for some residents in Calgary after a major water main break led to a torrent of water, causing chaos for some motorists, along with flooding and a boil water advisory in parts of the city. So let's begin with CTV's Jacklyn Wilson in Calgary with more on that.
Calgarians are now under water restrictions after a massive water main burst in the city's northwest. It also has forced the closure in both directions of a portion of the Trans-Canada Highway that runs through Calgary. Now, the rupture happened around 8 o'clock last night in the same section of pipe that burst in June of 2024. But it wasn't that new section that was installed. In fact, it was a section of old pipe that was installed in 1975. Calgary Mayor Jeremy Farkas calls this section of pipe, which carries about 60% of Calgary's water, a ticking time bomb that was being monitored. When it erupted, 13 people and vehicles had to be rescued by first responders. No one was injured. There is a boil water advisory for those who live in nearby Parkdale, Montgomery, Point McKay, and West Hillhurst. Even though some additional water is coming from the Glenmore Water Treatment Plant, Calgarians are being asked to conserve water.
This means that outdoor water use, such as flooding rinks, snowmaking, or other large outdoor water use is currently prohibited in the city. Indoor facilities, such as pools, rinks, and recreation facilities, are advised to implement their water reduction plans.
Water to this section of pipe has been shut off, and they have found the exact location. We are told an assessment is underway. Now, at the time of the break, the system was working normally, and there were no wire snaps. And when Calgary experienced a similar pipe rupture in 2024, it did take a couple of months before that repair was completed. The next update from the city is expected on Thursday. Jacklyn Wilson, CTV News, Calgary.
To Saskatchewan now, and a manhunt that's underway after a shooting in a First Nations community just east of Cold Lake, Alberta. One person died, 3 people were injured, with police saying they're looking for a pair of suspects last seen riding an ATV. With more on that, let's turn to CTV's Allison Bamford in Saskatoon. Allison, what can you tell us?
John, it's been more than 24 hours since the shooting, and RCMP say they haven't been able to identify either of the 2 armed suspects and haven't made any arrests. But Mounties have identified the victim as a 31-year-old man. Now, details are limited. We know the shooting took place outside on the reserve early yesterday morning. It was dark out, and police say that's why they don't know what the suspects were wearing, only that they were last seen on an ATV. Mounties from across the province have been called in to help with the investigation. The shooting triggered an emergency alert lasting 8 hours yesterday. RCMP called it off after determining there was no longer a risk to public safety, as no other incidents had been reported since the initial shooting. Big Island Lake lifted its own lockdown, and the head of security tells us things are, quote, back to normal today, with vehicles going in and out of the community. RCMP say the 3 others who were shot are recovering in hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. With more questions than answers, the chief of the First Nation is urging anyone with even the smallest of details to contact police. John?
Allison in Saskatoon, thank you. In her year-end message to the country, the Governor-General has praised the ability of Canadians to come together during difficult times.
This past year, I witnessed extraordinary solidarity unfold across our country in the unity of communities affected by wildfires, in your unprecedented economic cooperation, and in the revitalization of Indigenous cultures and languages.
Mary Simon also wished everyone joy and health in the coming year, a year that promises to be a big one in sports, with the start of the Winter Olympic Games just over a month away, if you can believe it. And today, the roster for the Canadian men's hockey team was announced. So which stars will try to recapture Olympic gold? Here's CTV's Garrett Berry.
With superstars Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid leading the way, Hockey Canada has created a very similar group to the team which won gold at the Four Nations Face-Off in February. But there are a few notable subtractions. Travis Konechny, Seth Jarvis are off the team. So is reigning NHL playoff MVP and two-time Cup winner Sam Bennett.
And it's a big-time mistake from Hockey Canada not to have him on the roster. I don't know what else he would have to prove in his playing career to be on this team. I thought he was going to be a lock.
Taking one of those spots, breakout star Macklin Celebrini, the 19-year-old from North Vancouver, is turning heads this year, competing for the NHL scoring title.
He fit in very well socially with the top players in the game, and his product on the ice speaks for itself. So he worked his way on.
There's turnover at goal, with Logan Thompson and Darcy Kemper joining Jordan Binnington in that position, but the entirety of the defense group is identical to that Four Nations face-off team. Other omissions: Chicago's Connor Bedard, Winnipeg's Mark Scheifele. Team GM Doug Armstrong said no one played their way off of the team, but 25 players worked their way on.
There's a lot of aspects that go into the team. You look at Hagel Sorelli's penalty killing. It's exemplary in the NHL.
NHL players are set to return to the Olympics for the first time in 12 years. Canada won gold that year, 2014, the last time league players competed. The Milan arena that's set to host these hockey events isn't quite complete yet. Testing on the ice is set to start on January 9th. Today, Hockey Canada executives said they were confident the arena would get completed in time for the games. John.
Let's hope they're right. Thanks so much, Garrett. To Peru now, where 7 Canadians were injured in a train crash that killed the driver and left 20 people in serious condition. The incident happened yesterday on the railway leading to Machu Picchu, when 2 trains carrying tourists to the site collided. Images posted on social media showed people evacuating the damaged train and others being treated on the tracks. For Ukrainians, this New Year's Eve saw more attacks and growing doubts about the prospects for peace, with Russian President Vladimir Putin vowing victory in a New Year's address. With the latest on that conflict, let's turn to our senior correspondent, Judy Trin, in Ottawa. Judy.
John, on New Year's Eve, Ukraine finds itself defending against Russia's military might, but also against accusations that it tried to attack one of Vladimir Putin's homes. Russia's defense ministry is accusing Kyiv of launching a terrorist attack on Vladimir Putin's residence in Novgorod. The Kremlin says the attack was thoroughly planned and involved dozens of drones. Unconfirmed video of one drone that was shot down was shown on a giant screen. The footage was released 2 days after Putin called Donald Trump.
Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. That's no good. It's no good.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky denounced Putin's accusation as a lie. It came after his meeting with Trump on Sunday. Zelensky called it an attempt to scuttle peace negotiations. The U.S. NATO ambassador says independent verification is required.
Seems to me a little indelicate to be this close in a peace deal, Ukraine really wanting to get a peace deal done, and then to do something that would be viewed as reckless or not helpful.
The source of this destruction in Odessa is clear. 6 people, including 3 children, were injured. Russia is escalating attacks on urban areas, taking out the electricity grid. Residents who live in this damaged building say right now peace feels impossible. We're all stressed and at the limits of our strength, says this woman. In Vishharar, after 4 days of cold darkness, power and heat returned on New Year's Eve. From cafes to beauty salons, working is a daily act of defiance, says this owner. Work can be hell. If you add air raid alerts and night strikes, we get thrown off track, but we still try to hold on, at least a little. Russia currently occupies 20% of Ukraine. NATO officials estimate that 25,000 Russian troops are being killed every month. yet Moscow is still able to replenish its ranks. John.
Judy Trin in Ottawa, thank you. Police in Germany are still hunting for the criminals behind a dramatic bank heist. The bank is now closed until further notice after thieves drilled this hole, stealing as much as $105 million from safety deposit boxes. Nearly 3,000 customers were affected. Hundreds of them gathered yesterday demanding answers on how this could happen. When it comes to enforcing laws in this country, police departments have been struggling of late, trying to recruit new members. And now a police department in Victoria is temporarily turning to officers who'd retired. With more on that, we turn to Andrew Johnson. And Andrew, what's changed?
John, police are reacting to the fact young people seem to be keeping away from a traditionally very desirable line of work.
I do solemnly swear that.
On the final day of 2025, Sean Millard is being sworn in as the newest police officer in BC's capital.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Not even a year after he retired.
To come back on the road, to do what I love doing, to work as a constable instead of a supervisor this time with junior members, I jumped at the chance.
The Victoria Police Department launched a new program in the fall to temporarily hire retired officers to fill staffing shortages. Departments across the country have struggled to recruit new officers.
25 years ago when I applied, we had 1,000 applicants for 28 positions.
Cop turned criminologist Dan Jones says police are still battling negative public perception after the 2020 killing of George Floyd that sparked the Defund the Police movement.
I can breathe. I think policing has hit a kind of an all-time low when it comes to police legitimacy. And that's where people see the police as kind of a occupying force at times, which is unfortunate because that's not what policing is.
Jones says recruitment campaigns also need to pivot and move past the traditional macho adventure-seeking image.
They still have helicopters and people jumping on boats and all the stuff that I never did. And I don't think 90% of police officers ever will. And I think they need to start looking at policing as a helping profession, a compassionate profession.
Victoria's chief is on the same page.
What we're looking to do here at Vic PD is tell the story of the people who work here and the real work that they do every single day.
Addressing work-life balance is another challenge as a new generation of officers who prioritize mental health hit the streets. John.
All right, Andrew, thank you so much. Coming up, Canadian concerns. We'll tell you what people say they're most worried about heading into 2026. That's after the break. At the end of 2025, a new poll says the economy is now twice as big of a concern for Canadians than worries about Donald Trump. Nanos Research asked Canadians about their most important national concern. Jobs and the economy was the highest at 22%. Trump and U.S. relations was second at 10%. Inflation came in third at 8%, while health care and immigration rounded out the top five. Also on the economy front, stock markets, while closing down today, are ending the year after posting huge gains in 2025. Toronto's main index was up a whopping 28% this year, outpacing America's Dow and NASDAQ indexes, which also saw double-digit gains, while gold and the U.S. dollars saw a remarkable 66% rise in price over the year, the biggest annual jump since 1979. Ahead of New Year's Eve, a minute of silence was held in Australia for the 15 victims of the Bondi Beach terror attack. A crowd of people held up camera lights and candles in front of the Sydney Opera House as a symbol of solidarity with the Jewish community after the attack on December 14th. For those who have lost loved ones this holiday season, it can be a difficult time. CTV's Sarah Plowman now on how one family was touched by tragedy and how they're coping and their message to others.
6-year-old Colton Cisco loved Christmas. His toy elf, time with family.
He loved lights and he loved going out and everything was so magical.
The holidays have hurt the past 3 years. Colton died in July 2023, swept away during a flash flood in Nova Scotia.
I've learned that my grief is never going to shrink. It's never going to go away. In the holidays, it does get magnified.
Experts say grief can show up when you face the first of things, like birthdays or holidays.
So the first holiday without somebody, you can have a welling up of grief, even if the person passed away quite a while ago.
Kindness and compassion with yourself are key.
There's not something wrong with you if you're noticing waves of grief, even a while after somebody has passed away. It's a very normal part of grieving.
Out of loss came a new tradition for this family, a Christmas tree for Colton decked out in Spider-Man and popcorn ornaments, his favorites.
Colton has his own tree. He's here. It gives you that little bit of, he's not just here and around in spirit. He's here. We still think of him. We still celebrate him.
This mother has also learned on tough days, give yourself grace.
You just really have to give yourself your own permission to be like, okay, I've tried today and I'm going to take a rest.
A message for other families on coping when the holidays feel heavy. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
Still ahead, a royal revelation.
But I remember anger, and I was so furious.
Queen Camila reveals a memory she says has lurked for years. Queen Camila revealed today for the first time that she was physically assaulted as a teenager.
I remember something that had been lurking in the back of my brain for a very long time, that when I was a teenager, I was attacked on a train. And I'd sort of forgotten about it, but I remember at the time being so angry. I was reading my book and, you know, this, man attacked me, and I did fight back.
She made the comments on a British broadcast about violence against women. The year gone by has seen plenty of ups and downs for the royals, from health news to family divisions, a visit to Canada, and controversy over a hat. With the Royal Year in Review, here's CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin.
In a year of royal diplomacy, a state visit to Canada was fit for the history books.
As we witnessed Canadians coming together in a renewed sense of national pride, unity and hope.
King Charles III delivered this pointed royal message in a speech from the throne.
As the anthem reminds us, the true north is indeed strong and free.
In other words, hands off the Commonwealth.
I am Canadian, and we have a king who is going to support us in a time of great need, so I'm here to support him as well.
Part of the king's handling of U.S. President Donald Trump, seemingly eyeing the realm with talk of annexing Canada.
Yep. Good stuff.
This in a year the royal family hoped would be bright after a punishing 2024, when both the king and the Princess of Wales, Catherine, revealed cancer diagnoses. The princess kicked off 2025 announcing she was in remission.
Stay still with me.
She paid an emotional visit to the hospital where she was treated, meeting patients and thanking staff.
It was wonderful to see her coming in through the front door and with an official visit, and huge credit to her because it can't have been easy.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for being here today.
The princess also delivered her first public speech in nearly 2 years, speaking of a topic close to her heart, early childhood.
The love we feel in our earliest years fundamentally shapes who we become and how we thrive as adults.
She urged for more of a focus on time and tenderness rather than just profits and success. But divisions loomed over the House of Windsor. In October, the king stripped his brother of his final royal titles. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is no longer a prince, just a commoner now, after more revelations of his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
He was pushed when he should have actually put his hand up and said, yes, you know, I have done wrong.
Definitely a good thing that the royal family are taking accountability and acting on what's happened.
But behind the doors at Clarence House, there seemed to be some rapprochement when the king met with his son Harry for tea. This was a private meeting said to be the first father-son moment in nearly a year and a half.
How old are you now? I'm almost 102.
Prince Harry also landed in Canada, visiting at least 3 times this year, though he faced rebukes this fall for wearing an LA Dodgers hat during a World Series game against the Toronto Blue Jays.
I would like to apologise to Canada for wearing it. Secondly, I was under duress. There wasn't much choice. I was invited to the LA Dodgers box, or the dugout, by the owner himself, so I was doing what I thought was the polite thing to do. But I'm going to wear this from now on to make sure I don't make any more of those mistakes.
And it's on to 2026 for the royal family, and perhaps more moments like this. Prince Louis mocking his brother, the heir apparent to the British throne. Prince George was not amused. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News.
Good to see Harry in the Blue Jays hat. After the break, New Year's celebrations are lighting up. The parties are spreading across the world. It is one of the country's highest honors, being named to the Order of Canada. And the Governor-General today added 80 names to the list, recognizing those who've made extraordinary contributions to the nation.
Here we are at Neptune Records, waiting for Tyler, the Creator.
Among them, Vancouver music journalist Nardwuar, known for his interview style and big personality. Another is beloved children's songwriter and entertainer Rafi, being promoted to the companion level for outstanding achievement. And athletes also made the cut, including 7-time Olympic medalist Andre DeGrasse and Ellie Black, one of Canada's most accomplished gymnasts. Finally for us, we leave you with the joyous sights and sounds as the world began to ring in 2026, starting with the spectacular show Down Under. From all of us at CTV News, we wish you a Happy New Year.